Let's take a look at those SEC Media Day predictions that I mentioned. Those are going to be too small for my guys in the room to read, but I'll tell you what it says. First place votes, Tennessee, they got 1, and they were way down there at the bottom with Ole Miss and Auburn. Vanderbilt with 2 first-place votes. I think this is either the second or third year that Vanderbilt's gotten 2 votes, and it's like, okay, this isn't funny anymore. It just shows how worthless SEC Media Days is these days.
Oh, no.
Predicted order, well, when you let, GoVandy.com in, what do you think they're going to vote? And then the predicted order of finish, this is what stands out. Tennessee 9th, behind Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, South Carolina way up there, Florida, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, but ahead of, this is interesting, Oklahoma, who's preseason top 25 in a lot of places, ahead of Auburn, ahead of Missouri, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State. So Tennessee, according to the SEC media and fan blogs that were down there, they're going to finish 9th in the SEC. I saw, like USA Today had them 10th or 11th,
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated had them 10th or 11th, so you're finding them 9th, 10th, 11th. Chuck, also, usually the expectations right about now, okay. I've said 10-2. Now I think it's 11-1. That's where you normally are at this point. Now that folks are seeing all these predictions come in that say 9th, 10th, or 11th, do you think expectations of the Vol fan base are starting to not crater, but drop into the realistic zone? Or are all those people just wrong?
I think they look at it just the media. They're usually wrong anyway. I mean, we're still in July, right? We hadn't even made it to August, and fans are going to be fans. How many times are we out and about somewhere and somebody comes out, I think we're going to surprise some people this year. I think we're going to be better than what they think. I mean, I get it all the time, right? So, no, I don't think the expectations are going down any at all. Part of that is with Ryan covering recruiting, too. You've had some recruiting victories. John, you pointed out how you were like in the 50s or something in the rankings, and you've moved up.
Jumped up to 13th.
So there's been enough good things happen that fans are going to be fans.
Okay. Anybody, are expectations being tempered or no?
I don't get the sense that they're rising or fall. I think fans are kind of in wait-and-see mode with this team just because of the quarterback situation. I don't think anyone really knows what to make of Joey Aguilar yet. Some people still are waiting to see what happens with this competition. Is it Jake Merklinger or someone else? So I just think there are too many reasons for fans to not really know. But I think, generally speaking, this fan base diminished expectations overall. I don't think there's as much talk of making the college football playoff again. I think the final expectation for those who rise and whose expectations go up will be 9-3, somewhere in that range. I think a lot of people will have this team just outside that playoff picture, but still a pretty good team. So I think most people look at this and just think the teams 3 through 10 are jumbled together pretty closely in the SEC, and no one really knows what to do with them because of transfers and all that stuff. Even Oklahoma, pretty good new quarterback, no one really knows what to do with them.
Are these predictions having an impact, or do you agree with these guys? No, they're not.
I would say the impact is that they feel more confident in their decision that maybe Tennessee is an 8-4 team or a 9-3 team. After hearing the team talk about Joey Aguilar, they're like, oh, now I really could say that they are an 8-4 team, and I feel more confident about that. I think sometimes maybe a little earlier, kind of like a little sheepish about it, or you feel like, oh, I hope they could be 8-4. But after hearing even like Arion Carter talk about where Joey Aguilar is impressing with 7-on-7s or 11-on-11s, like I think that should be where Tennessee's finding its confidence. I think you can find some like, oh, Joey's making a good connection with the team. But I'd say they feel more confident in their predetermined end to the season, not that it gives them an extra win or two.
I'll go a different direction. I think people are lowering expectations.
You think they are lowering expectations?
Spent a long road trip with a long-time season ticket holder over the past week, and his expectations, they weren't real high to begin with, but I think he's not going to be shocked if this is an 8-4 team. Probably a little bit surprised with 7-5. And then my season ticket partner, who is one of the most optimistic people in the world when it comes to UT sports, he's stepping back from a little bit. So I think if you really get into conversations with people, and like Chuck, a lot of people do come up and want to talk about it, if you get into deeper conversations, I think people realize there are a ton of question marks. And whereas usually you go, man, the questions are all going to be answered in our favor, okay, we got a lot of question marks.
Tennessee only has 3 players make the preseason All-SEC teams. Jermod McCoy, of course, made first team on defense, obviously. Boo Carter, Arion Carter made third team. Carter did not get, even though he led the SEC last year in punt returns, he was not the return specialist on the first, second, or third team. I don't know that it's a surprise that, and we've talked about it earlier, you saw the top, what was it, a few weeks ago, we did the top 100 players in the country, and Tennessee had Jamad McCoy. Is it any bit kind of a surprise that you only have 3 people named and only 1 above the third team?
I don't think so. I think that's one of the things about this team. You've got a lot coming back on defense, but even some of those guys coming back, they're not necessarily household names outside of Jamad McCoy. So that's sort of one of the things about this team. The biggest names are young guys or unproven, like Lance Hurd, David Sanders. You just got to kind of wait and see what this team's going to be. So I think that's part of, again, why they're lower in these predictions.
Yes.
There's just not a lot of household names, not a lot of name recognition when you look at this roster, and the ones that you do know are big question marks.
Well, that's where I get confused when we do look at maybe where they finish in the SEC standings, or if you're predicted to be an SEC champion. I think Tennessee is too high then when you compare it to where they are on these first, second, third all-team lists. Like for Tennessee just to have 3, they should be at the bottom of the SEC standings in these other polls, or like Georgia, their first team and all of the special team positions, which I thought was really interesting. But I also don't put too much weight onto it, because I think a lot of these local media members, and maybe sometimes even myself, I'm so focused on the team that I cover that I couldn't name you somebody on Missouri right away. Maybe when you get closer to playing them, but those teams, how would I rate them? Where would I put them? And I think that's why Georgia runs so many.
I agree with that. I think that's something we all talked about that over the years. Everybody is hyper-focused on the team they follow, and you say, well, this guy's good and this guy's bad. Yeah. Well, that's one thing compared to your team. What you saw last year, what you've seen before, it doesn't give you, you're not watching the left guard at Arkansas every play with the same focus you watch the left guard here. You don't know that guy gets flagged every time they do this. You know it about the team you covered. So I do think that there is some haze that goes over those predictions. Most people know their own school a lot better than they know any of the others.
There was good news in those rankings, though. If you're Tennessee, you play 5 teams that are below you.
Yep, that's true.
So if that plays out, there's your 5-3, which probably goes to the 9-3.
And the point Paige made about the way people watch and some of that, I mean, it's just part of the job. You travel to the stadium, you go to the game, you write about the game, all that stuff afterwards. So it just takes up most of your day. You don't get to watch these other teams. I think that's a big part of this. And so I just had so many people I talked to at SEC Media Days had no idea what to think of Tennessee. And their automatic assumption was Dylan Sampson's gone, Nico's gone. I don't know their receivers. They must not be as good this year. So they're just kind of making some general assumptions, and that's why you see them ranked lower, and that's all it is.
And part of it, too, you got to look, you're playing in a 16-team league, right? You've got teams that are building and getting better and got players coming back that had really good seasons. Tennessee, I mean, Arian Carter, but you've got some pretty good linebackers in the SEC, right? Boog Carter didn't even start returning punts until, the 5th game? So you've got other players that are going to stand out more, even to people that just follow it kind of casually, just because they had such great seasons. Tennessee doesn't really have that across the board.
And a lot of good quarterbacks in this league this year, too.
Oh, yeah.
All right, very good.